How much longer have I got to wait here?" The desk sergeant looked up at the scrawny youth slumped in the blue plastic seat opposite him and rolled his eyes. "Mr. Jackson is a very busy man. He'll see you when he can." "Well, how long's that going to be? I've been sat here ages." "And you'll sit there all day if I have any more chat from you," the desk sergeant replied, picking up the ringing phone. "Hello? Brampton police station. Can I help you?" "Oh, yes, madam." Yes. A cat, you say? What, stuck up a tree?" "Ah, yes, well, I think you'll need the fire department." "Yes, I'm sorry. Not really a police matter. I can put you through if you like. One moment." The desk sergeant tapped a few keys and waited for the distant voice to come on the line and then punched the call through. He put down the receiver and glanced at the boy. "Aren't you a bit young for work experience?" "I don't know," the lad shrugged. "It's not really work experience, it's a school project. Experience of work." "How old did you say you were?" 12. The phone rang again, and the policeman went to pick it up, but it stopped before his hand reached the receiver. The youth sniggered. The policeman rolled his eyes and smiled at the boy. He was a large man with wispy hair and bushy eyebrows. His face shined and his cheeks were puffy. Stooping down, he pulled out something from below the desk. The boy watched him carefully. It was a clear plastic bag, and inside was a slipper, a pink, fluffy, lady's slipper. The desk sergeant pulled out the slipper and examined it thoroughly. He even brought it up to his nose and sniffed it, but then moved the thing away rather sharpish before sneezing loudly. "I don't know why they've sent you to work with Mr. Jackson," he said when he'd recovered. "You can come round here and give me a hand on the front desk if you like." The boy stared at the desk sergeant through lazy eyes, nodding briefly at the slipper. "What's that? Evidence?" The desk sergeant held the object at arm's length, peering underneath it as if searching for fingerprints. "There's another one just like this, somewhere, out there." He looked to the door. "Yeah, duh. Course there is. Slippers come in pairs, you know." The policeman straightened himself up and folded his arms, regarding the young man in the green puffer jacket and scruffy denim jeans with a look of disdain. They might have labels on them, he thought, but the boy's clothes could easily have come from a charity shop. "I didn't realise you were so knowledgeable about slippers, young man. We need someone with your superintelligence in CID. I'll recommend you to the team." The boy grimaced at the desk sergeant. He couldn't tell whether the man was taking the mickey out of him or not. "So, why have you got a slipper then? Looks rank." "You're not wrong there, lad. Smells rank too." The policeman returned the slipper to the bag and placed it underneath his desk. "Welcome to the world of policing, young man." The desk sergeant picked up a piece of paper and started filling it in. "The question we must ask ourselves is the slipper an exhibit from a horrific crime scene? Was it involved in some gruesome murder? Did some old lady get bashed over the head and have her pension taken away? Or was her husband's old war medal stolen from a wall safe behind a valuable Van Gogh?" The desk sergeant chuckled at his own invention and then continued filling in the paperwork. The boy sniffed, bored with waiting. He shifted awkwardly in his seat. "Well?" he asked at length. "Was it?" The policeman looked up and grinned. "Sadly not." The boy scowled. For a minute there he'd become interested. He folded his arms and shook his head. "What then?" The desk sergeant chuckled some more. "The slipper? Oh, some old boy found it on a park bench and brought it in. Very kind, but what does he think the British police is? A lost and found service? I suppose if it was a nicked gold watch, that would be different, would it?" The policeman frowned at the boy. Are you sure you're only 12? Can I go home now? The boy replied. I wish you could. I don't want you there all day giving me jip. The policeman picked up another piece of paper and studied it. It was the same piece of paper that the lad had given him 20 minutes ago when he had arrived. Pickle? Is that really your name? Simon Pickle? The boy grunted. Do your friends call you Gherkin? No. Yeah, you're too lanky for a gherkin. What do they call you then? The boy shrugged before answering, Lily. He said it almost inaudibly. Lily? The policeman scratched his head and then beamed. Oh, I get it. Piccalilli. And you don't mind? Simon Pickle shook his head. I don't mind if my friends call me it. The policeman gave Simon an understanding nod. So, 1 week's work experience, unpaid too. That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Dunno. I thought work experience was for older kids, 15, 16-year-olds. Yeah, well, maybe my teacher wants to go on holiday early. Yeah, well, if all the pupils are like you, then I'm sure they do. The front office door opened and a man in a beige suit hurried in. Mr. Jackson, the desk sergeant called after him. Not now, Willie, the suited man replied, bounding across the room to a near-invisible door flush with the opposite wall. He punched in a code in a box of electronics. Yeah, you have a visitor, the policeman persisted. No time today. I'm not expecting anyone. Work experience lad from Brampton Academy. Before the desk sergeant could complete the sentence, the man in the beige suit had disappeared through the door and shut it abruptly behind him. Bit of a hurry as are, Mr. Jackson. Must be a panic on. Was that the man I was supposed to see? Doesn't look like you will today, lad. Simon Pickle snorted. I don't want to hang about here all day. No offence. I think we can both agree on that score, the desk sergeant replied, and he picked up a mug. It was empty. I'll tell you what, I'll make you a coffee. How's that? I don't drink coffee. Tea then? Yeah, all right. Good lad. You can mind the fort while I'm away. If anyone suspicious comes in looking for the slipper, you better get their name and address, the desk sergeant chuckled, and he lumbered off into a side room where a kettle and a box of tea bags were waiting. Simon Pickle huffed. He wished he'd brought his phone with him. He had games to play. He could have whiled away some time squashing zombies. But he had left the blooming thing on charge in his bedroom. That was stupid. He felt naked without his phone. Now there was nothing to do but sit and wait for a man in a drab suit who didn't seem bothered whether he was there or not. This was really boring. To amuse himself, he gazed around the front office. It was an old-fashioned police station. Victorian, he thought. Poky reception with off-white paint on the walls. And posters. Loads of daft posters, all boring. Where were the wanted posters? You know, mugshots of villains and gangsters. These posters were lame, just pictures of noddy policemen with sparkling uniforms next to wording like neighbourhood watch and is your house really secure? Simon wasn't enthusiastic when Mrs. Tenby, his form teacher, said they were having an experience of work week. When he found out he was being sent to the police station, he bucked up a bit. It sounded exciting. But then he thought the place would be awash with criminals, locked up in cells, with dodgy-looking people sniffing nasty substances and blokes with short haircuts smoking something they shouldn't. This wasn't at all how he imagined it. Just a boring, empty front office with an overweight policeman behind a desk. But then Brampton wasn't exactly a criminal metropolis with gangsters on every street corner. In fact, it wasn't much of a town at all, barely bigger than a village. Nothing ever exciting happened in Brampton. "Hey you," a voice said. "Are you Simon Pickle?" Simon looked up with a start. The man in the beige suit had returned. He stood in the flush doorway and didn't look at all friendly. What disturbed the boy more, however, was that the man held a gun in his hand, and he was pointing it straight at Simon. Join me again next time, and I'll read Chapter 2 of The Ghost Detective.